Here's your host, Regina Lee.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show of the Good Neighbor podcast. I'm so excited. I have today with us the owner of QC Dance, Tony Prado. Welcome.
Hey, welcome. Thanks.
You're a neighbor practically. I'm so
Really?
excited. I've seen your location at Quail Corners, and I'm a big, I love dance. I wish I could dance. So I can't wait to learn all about what you do. So let's start with your studio and what makes you different and what you guys do.
Ooh, what makes us different? Probably the biggest thing that makes us different is that we're one of only two studios in the United States that incorporates all types of dance. Tap, jazz, ballet for children, and a full ballroom program for adults. So it's an all-inclusive dance studio that teaches anybody who wants to perform, anybody who wants to find a new artistic version of themselves. We're literally a resource for people who want to find themselves through music and movement.
That's amazing. How did you get into this?
Well, I've been dancing for 30 years myself. So I've been I've been a dance instructor for 30 years. But when the pandemic hit, studios all around the city were starting to close, and particularly ballroom studios were closing because of the social distancing requirement. And my wife, Natalie, came up with the brilliant idea of combining our resources. She kind of looked at it and said, well, it's either go big or go home. And we didn't want to wind up unemployed. So we found a studio that was in financial distress. We wrote a couple of letters and put together a business plan to take it over with the idea of making it a combined studio. And that's been 4 years ago now. And it seems to be going strong.
That is amazing. And you and I were talking about this massive remodel that you did. Tell us what that looks like. I'm sorry we can't see it, but I'm sure you can explain it.
I really wish you could, because I think we're the only dance studio in the entire United States that has a patio. So we have a beautiful patio out front, a brand new Marley floor in 3,000 square feet of ballroom, a brand new Marley ballet studio that's equipped for point work. We had some very, very, I almost cry when I think about it, some very generous donors who came in at the finish of our first lease going into our second lease. And they said, if we're going to be here for another 5 years, we want this to be the best looking facility anywhere. And boy, did they deliver with crystal chandeliers, wall sconces, a completely new paint job, tile floors, a redone fireplace, patio, a new ballroom floor, a new Marley floor. It's amazing. It's amazing. When you walk into the studio, you feel like you're in Wonderland.
What is a Marley floor? I'm not familiar with that.
Marley floor is it's a special kind of vinyl that is crafted for dancers, and you can get different grades of Marley. So in our main ballroom, we have something called Fiesta Marley. It looks like hardwood, but dances like a ballet floor. And then in our ballet studio proper, we actually have what's called a Cascade floor, and that is designed for point work so that the ballerinas that go on point have just exactly the right amount of friction.
So this sounds like an amazingly beautiful place, but it also sounds like this is for people and families who are really dedicated to the learning. Can you kind of take us through that?
Well, yeah, actually, we look at it as people have talked about things like a recreational dance studio or a competition dance studio. And given that we have so much going on in the studio, we call ourselves a performance dance studio. So when we're looking at anybody, whether I'm looking at somebody who's in their 40s or 50s, or whether it's us looking at a child who's 3, 4, 5, 6, at whatever age, we're looking at how's that dancer gonna perform? How much better about themselves are they gonna feel? When we're looking at the children, we're saying, how are they gonna grow up? You know, we have a 4-year-old ourselves, and we're thinking, how is my 4-year-old or how is my child going to interact with society in 15 years? And so the confidence that they gain, the the awareness that they gain, the artistic sensitivity that they gain, the empathy that they gain, all of those things are absolutely tangible assets to us.
So, what is the time commitment typically for a child that wants to, whether it's ballet or various types of dance? We looking at once a week or more?
Well, that's the nice part about it. My wife literally will tailor make a program for any child. And I've seen her sit in interviews and in Zoom meetings with families saying, this is the commitment for your child in terms of time and in terms of budget. So a child can dance 45 minutes a week. And it's a very, very minuscule, very small investment. And then for people who want to go to competitions and who want to be on stage and who want to be really part of that dynamic world of competitive dancing, they can be here as much as 9 or sometimes even 12 hours a week.
Oh, wow. Wow. Anybody come out of your school that you can mention that has gone on to big things?
Well, we don't have anybody that has come out of our school because we've only been in action for 4 years since the pandemic.
Gotcha.
So we started in 2020. So, we have to give them time to grow up, as it were. But what we can mention are the people who have come into our school. We've had some of the greatest people in the world come into our school. We've had visits from Karina Smirnoff from Dancing with the Stars. We've had visits from world champion Hanna Kartunen flew in from Finland to be in our studio. Victor da Silva flew in from Portugal to be in our studio.
Wow.
And so we've had some of the greatest dancers in the world here on the studio floor. Louis Van Amstel from Dancing with the Stars has been on our studio, and we're constantly getting input from the artistic community. So I think that what ultimately comes out of our studio will be a reflection of the caliber of dancers that have started here, just started teaching here in the first place.
Well, the caliber of instructors. I know you've got some amazing talent that, go the scope of the different types of dance. Tell us about those folks.
Well, it's we have to look and say, like, we're so grateful. It's just absolutely an attitude of gratitude of what we've been blessed with, because our chief ballerina is probably the only Princess Grace award-winning ballerina that's available anywhere. She did 15 seasons with Charlotte Ballet and was on the front row of Charlotte Ballet before she retired and came here and loves teaching here. And at the same time, that's Miss Alessandra. And at the same time, we have a girl that we just hired, Miss Chansey, is certified by the Imperial Society of Teachers of Dance in London. And Miss Chansey and Mr. Todd both studied with the Royal Academy of Dance in London. And that training that you get from Europe is absolutely the highest of quality. It's certified by the Royal Academy in London. Then we also have Miss Brittany, who was a former checkmate with the Charlotte Checkers. And then she went on to work with Martha Graham in New York and still has contacts with Martha Graham. So when our students are ready to go to New York to have a New York experience, we'll be able to talk to the Martha Graham dancers that are there currently and be able to work with them. So we're working with literally frontline people all the way across the board. Our hip hop guy, Mr. Matt, is a former champion hip hop dancer. So we have people who have feelers in the industry at all times.
That is so amazing. I mean, you're right here in Charlotte, and we have access to that. We were talking about the time commitment, and then there's the financial commitment side of it too. If the parent's listening or about their child, you had told me that you have some programs to possibly serve the underprivileged that want to get involved.
Well, I know that not everybody has infinite funds at their disposal, and we found out about that pretty severely right away. And we were just lucky. This whole thing's in a state of development, but we were lucky because some donors stepped in and said, I don't want these young people to go without dance. I want these young people to have a brighter future than what the street might provide them. And they started giving us money that we were able to allocate for children whose families just don't have the means. And so what we do is we will privately go into conversations with those parents if they express to us that there's a financial deficiency or hardship, and we'll figure out where we can find that balance, how we can achieve that balance. So sometimes our fund commits a certain percentage of the child's tuition. Sometimes our fund commits a certain percentage of the child's costume. But wherever we find that balance, we have seen people who were kind of on the edge, if you might want to say. They were kind of, their lives were in a balance, and getting the scales to tip in the direction where now they have an artistic future and an academic future, and they feel positive about themselves. The reward is in seeing the smile on their face and seeing that they have hope.
That is very, very exciting. So you have adult dance, youth dance, you have summer camps.
We do. In the summertime, we put together a program where we bring in some professionals from across the country. We have a summer camp that's held during late June and early July. And then we have a summer boot camp where our slogan is Move to Improve. And during our summer camp, it's really pushing the students to get to that next level. So it's kind of prepping our students for a competitive season if that's what they want. If what they want is just to stay physically fit or to just keep dancing, then what we're doing is keeping their scales up and maintaining their academic curriculum so that they can check the boxes and say, I've accomplished this, I'm ready for the next level. Then in boot camp, we bring in just a big shout out to Miss Brandy McCoy from the Charlotte Hornets, because Miss Brandy brings some of the honeybees in, and we get to work one-on-one, or we get to work in a group with the honeybees. So again, we've got that real world experience where the cheerleaders are right here in the studio showing the young dancers, this is what it takes to make it as a honeybee, or what it takes to make it as a professional dancer.
So let's say a parent hears this and they go, oh, I think my son or daughter would be great at this. What is the process when you've got a new kid and figuring out what kind of dance they might be best suited to?
Well, the best process, honestly, is to just give us a call or even go on our website, queencity.dance. There's a little chat widget in the corner of the website, the bottom right-hand corner of the website. That chat widget goes directly to my cell phone. So I see every communique that comes in. And if a parent has a child that they want to get involved in, first thing we do is put that child in a complimentary class. No charge, just come in, try the class out. See if the child likes it. We try to do the same thing for adults as well. Get the adult into a class and see if they like it. Once we've figured out what they like, then we can start moving towards their interest and getting them to start picking it up. Because if the child picks it up and says, this is something I want to do, then we know that that child is very likely to continue doing it.
That's amazing. And then for adults, the same way. You said you have ballroom dancing. Is it group, private? How does that work?
The ballroom dancing has worked for us more in the one-on-one setting. And typically what we do is one-on-one or two-on-one. We have a lot of couples who are coming who are just getting ready to get married. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's that obligatory first dance, or I shouldn't say obligatory, but there's that traditional first dance. And so we will get the, sort of a little bit nervous groom and the blushing bride that come in, and they kind of want to figure out some guidance for their first steps. Then we get the people who, for whatever reason, they've gotten to a point in life where they want some sort of a change, whether it's social or physical, or maybe just in terms of lifestyle. And ballroom dancing is a wonderful change in any one of those. It's a great physical benefit because there's the calorie burn. It's a social benefit because everybody makes new friends. And in terms of lifestyle, the world of competitive dance and the world of performance dance, it takes people who never thought that they would be on stage and puts them on stage and has them hearing applause, sometimes for the first time in their life. And who doesn't want to hear applause?
Right. It can be life-changing. I can just envision the impact this has with children. I think it's amazing. And I can see the passion and hear the passion in what you do. So just tell us, you mentioned the website, queencity.dance.
Yes.
You're at Quail Corner Shopping Center.
The Quail Corner Shopping Center. Phone number is 704-900-7060. So you can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Look up Queen City Dance Studio on Instagram. I've even told the kids here that dance, it's not just a dance studio. We're a performance studio, and we go out into the city and we go out into the state and even across the country. And I tell them, when you're out there on that stage, you represent this city. I tell them that's the legacy that we want them to carry as dancers, whether it's dancers like the ballroom performers who are on stage or the kids who are doing their recitals and showcases. I want them to know that they're not just carrying a message of being a good dancer. They're carrying a message of living in a great city.
Wow. I'm so impressed that we have you right here and have access to this kind of talent and instruction. So exciting. Well, I so appreciate your time today, and I look forward to seeing you out in the community. Thank you.
We'll see you on the dance floor for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com or call 980-351-5719.